Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. Welcome to Symbaroum. I am Matt, your game master for this evening and all evenings, asterisk, when we're running Symbaroum here on Telling Tales. Hi, hope you're all well. I'm wonderful. I'm dosed upon painkillers because I pulled a muscle in my back. That's a detail you didn't need to know, but I let you know anyway in case I start just randomly ranting about strange things, stranger things than normal here on Telling Tales. We have promo to do, the important business of promo, before we get on to bringing people on for recaps. Check out down below. There's a bunch of links. Links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching on one. Please check us out on the other. Links to all our social media, to our Patreon, where you can support us if you want to drop us some cash in exchange for some goodies. Links to our Discord, where you can go and join our community. There's a poll running on it right now in the Patreon section. For what one-shots we do in the rest of the year. So, yeah, get involved. Talk to us. Build up that incredibly close parasocial relationship with us that's really, really healthy on the internet by indulging in all of these things. And if you're interested in what kind of things we do, we run 3 weekly series here on Twitch, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays is Shadows of Estrin. That's just picked up again this year. Wednesdays is this, Symbaroum, and Thursdays is Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our World of Darkness anthology series. All of those start at 8 o'clock in the evening GMT. They're all good. We also run monthly one-shots on the first weekend of every month. The January one was this weekend just gone and was Cyberpunk 2020. We haven't scheduled in the next one yet. Although, you know what? I've made a bit of an executive decision internally about what that was going to be. So you know what? Hang on to the end of the stream. Yeah. That's engagement. And I will reveal what the one shot for February is probably going to be. So yeah, that's a reason to watch, right? Exciting stuff. All of our previous one shots are available over on YouTube as video on demand, so go check them out. There's lots and lots and lots of them: Alien and Troika and Honey Heist and The Expanse and Dune and Dungeon World, all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to list them all. That'll do. Let's start bringing on our players and talking about what went on last time in Symbaroum before we start the session proper. So first off, we're going to bring on my friend and yours. It is Mike, who plays Anton, our sometime healer, and all the time priest of Prios, Theurg. Anton, hi Mike, how are you?
Yeah, doing good, thanks. All good. No Nurofen here. I'm fine. So to recap, we were on our way to Blackmoor to help Captain Morvello of the Thistlehole Town Guard with some cult problems, the Red Eye cult, and we set off on our way. I think there were sort of like mixed feelings within the party about what we could achieve there, because I think that most of us were doing this to sort of like further our investigations into things going on in Thistlehold. And I think that Aaron Dar perhaps looked at it as perhaps like a charitable mission of sorts, and that there may be some good that he could do there. And we made our way towards Blackmoor. And on our way, we realized that we were being sort of very badly stalked by some members of the Red Eye cult. They were very obviously following us and doing a pretty bad job of hiding that. We had a chat with some traveling workers, got a bit more info out them, and then things we sort of set about dealing with the problem of the Red Eye people who were stalking us.
It's safe to say things escalated slightly, and to talk about that escalation, let's bring on our second player, Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar novice turned sellsword. How did you deal with the Red, Stephen?
So it's important to note that the plan was merely to sort of ambush them and interrogate them. So to that end, we kind of peeled off the road into a sort of a copse of trees and pretended like we were making camp. Most of these Red Eye followed us in, and then it all got quite messy quite quickly. I think we had intended just to rough them up a bit, but they were basically unarmed goblins I think, and one human. So a couple of them ended up dead. We ended up with a couple of them left to interrogate. They weren't being especially compliant, so Elindra killed one of them to try to persuade the other one. That didn't work. And then Arindar's intervention, we eventually took some form of pity on the remaining survivor, had him tied up and put on the back of a pony that they had brought with them. And then I think persuaded some goblins to take him back to the town guard at Thistlehold.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And I think it's worth noting as well that obviously it like escalated to bloodshed quite quickly, but I think particularly the brutality afterwards of just killing one of your prisoners to intimidate the other is definitely something that I think it's safe to say somewhat split the party like. No one got in any fights over it, but certainly Arindar was a bit horrified. And although I think Mike had to leave the stream at that point, I think it's safe to say that Father Anton would definitely not have approved of this.
Yeah, I think when Elindra draws her sword, she tends to kind of only find one solution to problems, and I can see that maybe causes a little friction at times.
But maybe that's something our party will have to acclimate to as we go forward. And speaking of going forward, let's bring on Chris. Chris plays Steo, former infantryman, turned curmudgeonly old sellsword. And yeah, Chris, tell us about where you were going and about getting there.
So off to Blackmoor, and we're in a weird situation where we've kind of been hired for stealth work, but we are not really a stealth company. So we were starting to work out some tactics. Ascarai was sent on to kind of proper scouting duty with the help of his changeling skill, which allows him to do some changeling. And the rest of us just went straight into town, really, and rolled up to the inn in the middle of town. Now, meanwhile, Ascarai, bearing one of the robes, such that they were from the Red Sun, from the cult we're after, Red Eye cult, went in and botched a roll to disguise himself. So was the talk of the town. So yeah, you'll hear more about that later. But when we got to the inn, we decided we should probably put the horses away there and start our own slow investigation of the town.
Absolutely. So, as you said, Ascarai, played by Sam, slipped away to do his own investigations into the area of the town, wonderfully titled the Garbage Heap, which is where the most unfortunate people of Blackmoor live. And that's a position that has some stiff competition because pretty much no one or almost no one in Blackmoor has any fortune whatsoever. Hi, Sam. How was Ascarai's investigations?
It started off very poorly, although unbeknownst to Ascarai, when he sort of changed into this red-eye cloak, he was immediately noticed, although he didn't know that at the time. And so as he began sort of walking into the garbage heap, he luckily stumbled across a kind of red-eye tent and overheard someone saying that basically Ascarai had been spotted changing into red-eye clothes, and they were sort of onto him. So he changed tactic a little bit, took off the red-eye just like robe, and sort of wandered around while changing his form every now and again to remain somewhat anonymous. And I mean, he saw red-eye around. He knows where that one tent was. He eventually arrived at the square where this mission was handing out food. And I mean, he still saw red-eye around, but noticed that there were no red-eye cultists sort of accepting food, even though there are a number of red-eye in this district or part of Blackmoor. And that was basically it. When he noticed and was noticed by the others who had arrived at the mission.
Yeah, we're basically sent straight to where the mission was by the, I believe, perhaps by the innkeeper at the Hamo, which was the name of the inn. And once the others got there was some talking to be had with the individuals at the mission. And to tell us about that, our final player, John, who plays Sir Arendar, last scion of House Dar, duelist and sellsword. Yeah, John, how did we wrap up last time?
So we, upon finding the soup kitchen, Aaron had basically brought several large bags of food along with him, which he gave to the mission, no strings attached, but also asked for information about the Red Eyes, and was basically told where Red Eye, the boss Red Eye, his tent is, but also concerns were expressed that the guards rolling in and rolling over the camp to take out the Red Eyes would lead to a lot of collateral damage. And that also, maybe the Red Eyes, I mean, they're kind of weird, but they're not necessarily evil, and they're kind of just desperate people trying to survive in a desperate situation. And that maybe that's slightly complicated. And yeah, that's more or less it. The next thing was to decide what to do.
Yeah. I think that the main thing that the kind of mission gave over is that the Red Eyes seem somewhat fanatical, but not that fanaticism doesn't seem to be aimed at anyone in particular, or it seems to be focused around their own survival and protection here in the muddy nightmare that is the garbage heap. That's sorry, finish.
She did mention or confirmed that was Regaba. They a name that we'd heard the Chantis cult is something that they venerate, but they can't exactly. The mission isn't exactly sure what it is or if it's even real.
And am I right in saying that you also learned Red Eye's actual name?
Yes, but I wrote it down in really terrible handwriting, so sure. I know it begins with a G.
It does begin with a G. It's Galamar.
That's it.
But he goes by Red Eye now, so clearly someone who was known somewhat before that. But yeah, that's where we pretty much left it last time, and that's where we're going to pick up. So with that in mind, I'm happy at picking up exactly where we were with the group sort of gathered again at the mission in the garbage heap. Obviously, the agreed upon course of action as soon as you essentially found out where the Red Eye headquarters were, which presumably this Galamar's tent, where they all focus their efforts around and gather. When you found that out, that's all that Captain Marvello needs. So he said that he would be along with as many detachments of the city guard as he can bring. He said to meet him at the Black Square in the early afternoon. You're probably a couple of hours away from the early afternoon now, so you could do more if you wanted, but you have what you need. So it's I don't know what the group wants to do.
Pint and lunch before the event.
I assume that there is nowhere to get a pint in the garbage heap.
Oh no, you definitely have to go back to the Hamo in Black Square to do that.
Okay, how far is that? Like, if we were kind of assuming that we can find our way out again.
Oh, 20 minutes, half an hour.
Okay. I think before we go for a pint and stray too far from here, is it worth finding somewhere quiet to have a quick discussion?
Absolutely, but we're not.
Finding somewhere quiet will be exceptionally difficult. Your best bet may be to stay here in this incredibly busy patch with the soup kitchen and
just with
kind
the
of
noise.
talk among the hubbub. Yeah,
we are not really in a secure location. And we do stick out like well-armed sore thumbs, is my only concern.
Understood. I would like to just point out one thing before we go. We have what we need for Marvello. When we spoke to that iron-packed elf, they said, seek out the red eye. They didn't necessarily say, have the town guard eliminate the red eye. It was unclear whether or not the red eye was something that we should be looking out for, or whether it's something we should be trying to extract some kind of information from. If it's the latter, we have a couple of hours to do that before all hell breaks loose here.
Doing so might alert him to other things that are going on.
This is also true.
The context of the elf saying those things, I agree, it wasn't completely clear, as was nothing the elf was saying, but it was definitely within the context of talking about people who are after you. But yes, I do agree that it was.
Yeah, it was. I think it was sandwiched between a warning about how all the cults have us on a list, and also there are assassins.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It may be useful to know exactly why they're after us.
I'm going to be the unpopular one again and suggest perhaps Ascarai and Antom do some information gathering. Antom, I think your presence here near the kitchen might be not only inconspicuous, but also might be a place where you could do some good. And Ascarai, maybe try and get a bead on the center of their operations, just so you've seen it, and just see if you can pick up on any bits of information.
I could try. I mean, it certainly would be good to talk to this Galamar and see if he has any knowledge for us. But
well, another point, Marvello is interested in getting Red Eye alive.
If possible.
If possible. And it's going to be a hard fight. And
the Theurg said that they'd fight to the end. I don't think taking any of them alive will be too easy.
I suspect that the only one of them who it would be possible to have a conversation with is Red Eye himself. And I suspect that if the town guard come and try to take him alive, they are going to find the entire cult hot on their heels.
Well, given what we had for breakfast, I think it's going to be harrowing, but not difficult until we get to the lieutenants, which is one of the reasons why I'm hoping Ascarai can maybe see what their upper echelons look like.
You're suggesting we try to glean information without talking to them directly and alerting them of our presence?
Yeah.
But what if there's a way to handle this without slaughtering them?
I don't think that's what the guard want. I mean, the guard want prisoners, but also, I need to emphasize, moral gray area aside, this is a cult. They're built of the same stuff that harrowed Alberator. They're built of the same stuff that murdered many of our acquaintances. We can't let that stuff take root again.
What do we think would happen if we just all went to this tent openly and asked to speak to Galamar? Do we think they would fight us? It doesn't seem as though the ones we've met have been particularly dangerous.
They have a mark on us.
But what?
So maybe they won't fight us, but they'll want us dead. That's that much we know for certain.
I think they might fight us. I think they might talk to us, but I suspect after they do that, they will go to ground. And the town guard will tear this place apart looking for them.
Any Ambrian here is morally obliged to eradicate the corruption where it is found. Like, I'm not a man of Prios. I'm not a politician. I'm a survivor, and you survive by finding where these things are and killing them before they take root. Like,
So the response there then is that if the Iron Pact want us to know anything relating to the Red Eye, they should come tell us themselves, because we are not going to have an opportunity to have a conversation with them before the town guard come in, unless we're prepared for the town guard to get messy. At least if they're in that tent, it can be contained.
okay, so one more option. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday. We go and meet Marvello. We take them round the outside of the camp and bring them to Red Eye's encampment from the back. They are quite near the edge of the settlement. We tell them to take 10 minutes to do that. We go in 10 minutes ahead and try the diplomatic approach. That way, we're already on a death timer. No matter what happens, as long as we prevent them from going to ground in 10 minutes, we have time to try and talk. Or we have time to fight. Maybe we'll all get killed, but at least the guard will find our bodies.
As soon as word gets out that groups of guards are descending on Blackmoor, people will run. They'll, like, you won't be able to keep it from the Red Eye.
Yeah, do you know what? Look, I'm with you, Dar. I think we just have to go in and work on the objective to get rid of the cult and hope we can get some prisoners and information, either in the aftermath or by picking our blows carefully or restraining where we can. I don't think we've the time or the resources or the skill to go in there and tie up a whole camp ahead of the red wave that's coming.
Do we think that we can?
I think that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm saying. I just
the
slaughtering, killing everyone in that tent or fighting them and taking prisoners will solve the problem today. It'll end up with a lot of people forced into a desperate situation. Most of them might not even follow Gallimar or believe in Regaba or any
We
of
don't
this.
have
They're just
time
there
to
for
run
food.
tribunals on the. We don't have time. Like, in the macro, we don't have time today. In the grand scheme of things, we don't have time. Historically or in the present, we didn't have time in Elberator. We don't have time now. Whatever's in the forest isn't going to wait for us to make the correct decision. We have to make a fast decision. You're right, this isn't a war, but it's becoming one.
Aaron, I do have sympathies with your view, but if you look at Thistlehold, it is order and the church and prosperity, which is changing the lives of people there. For the people of Blackmoor, we root out the corruption, we disband the cult, and then order emerges from the chaos and lives are improved that way.
Trickle down purity.
Are we dead against getting the passive observation done now? Because that's something that doesn't require further debate. And then we can go to the pub. Aaron, if you can come up with an executable battle plan that saves lives and finds a way to sort the cultists from the desperate and finds out what to do with the desperate cultists, we'll have that ready for Marvello when he arrives.
I sort of feel as though we might have lost sight of why we are here. I know that we're friends with Marvello and we're trying to help him deal with his problem, which is this cult in Blackmoor, but we're here because the elf told us that we should come follow the red eye as a means to find information about why people are after us, potentially even things relating to the sinkhole and what happened in Thistlehold. And it seems as though our current plan is more or less to go with the guard and kill the red eye, and our objectives have not been met in any way at all. We will have no more information, and we will have, while we'll have helped Marvello, we're not here to be the town guard. We're here to find information for ourselves, for Thistlehold in a way that is not just dealing with some cult. It's looking at a bigger picture, and I feel like if we just go with the guard and wipe them out, we will have not achieved what we're here for.
I agree. The information is what led us here. I mean, the cults are also our problem to an extent because they're after us, but I guess what we're trying to find out is why. What I'm struggling with is if we walk in there and ask for a conversation, they will know that we're here. They will know who we are. They may try to fight us, and if not, they're going to be, I think, probably aware that there is some impending movement, and we run the risk of not finding the information we want and making an incredible mess of things. We've just promised to Sarvola's missionaries that we would do everything that we could to make this as surgical as possible for the good of the other people here. Like, I don't know how we extract this information without making a huge mess.
This is all fantastic stuff, but I wouldn't be doing a game master's duty if I didn't light a fire under it a little bit. And how I'm going to do that is ask who has the lowest discrete value in the group.
9.
Also 9.
Oh,
Steel has 5. Well, it ain't going to get lower than that. So I would like you, Steo, to make a discrete roll, and that discrete roll has a modifier of -3. You're on mute, by the way. 9. There we go. That's not your elderly roll, though, is it? Because that's the first roll of the day, not of the session.
No, well, we actually passed my elderly roll, I think.
We did.
Today.
We did, yeah. Okay. Carry on.
Look. We are... There's so many different axes to this. We don't have time to figure it out. Let's just do the job we're here to do. Hopefully we find something afterward.
We need to do both. Ascarai is right. Steo, you were right. We need information, but we also have a responsibility to maintain a good relationship with Marvello and the City Guard because we rely on those people in Thistlehold all the time, and we don't want anything to damage our reputation there. Why don't we meet Thistlehold? Do as you suggest, Steo. Get them to go around the outskirts of Blackmoor. Give us 10 minutes. At that point, we rush into the tent. We have 10 minutes or so, or as long as we can find with I can't remember his bloody name. God damn it, Galamar. Yeah. At that point, he's up against it. He'll know what the stakes are. And we maybe stand more chance of getting information out of him then anyway.
In my opinion, this is the best chance we have of achieving all the goals that we have here. At least that we are at the forefront and, ideally slightly before the guard.
It's the least bad plan.
So, sorry, what was the concrete proposition again?
City Guard go around the outside. We get 10 minutes or less chat.
So we're gonna go back to the Black Square and talk to Marvello about going in sneakily, but with us as a sort of advanced force. Well, an advanced talking party to get information and, if needs be, I guess, to try to hold them in place. if they try to run. Right?
I think so.
And I can't interest either Ascarai or Antom with a brief excursion here. Antom, I think you should see if you can get more information from Sarvola's lot. Like they have humanized the cult. Surely they know something more.
About the
There
cult's
must be more
activities.
information that a few conversations might shake out of them. And Ascarai, we have yet to clap eyes on this grand tent. And I think it's still worthwhile taking a look. And we can get all three of these things done.
I can go and have a look. That's no problem. We have a bit of time before Marvella will be here, I suppose.
I would say who's got the highest vigilant, but I know it's Ascarai. Ascarai, can you roll vigilant at +5, please?
Ooh, okay. As long as I don't get a 20, I will make this. Please no 20. I rolled a 7, so I make it.
Out of the corner of your eye, you catch someone unusual looking at the sort of edge of the masses who are kind of pressing towards the mission and the food it provides. It is a man who seems to be dressed in the robes and rags of the Red Eye, who kind of stands between two tents. And obviously, it's quite difficult to tell what he's looking at because of those swathes of yellow and red cloth that they put around their heads, but he does seem to be looking at your group, and as soon as you turn and kind of lay eyes on him a few seconds later, he almost seems to kind of like jolt in sudden realization and dash off between two tents out of sight.
I will say to the group, I think we've been made, and do I think I would have a chance of catching him if I ran after him?
It'll be difficult, but potentially.
I'll run after him if I think it's possible to catch him.
Okay. Well then, why don't you give me a quick roll? And his modifier is -1, but I'm going to add some more for having to press through kind of the masses of people. I'm going to add another 3, so I'm going to make it a quick roll at -4.
Okay, this is going to be tough. I need a 6 or less. And I rolled a 19.
That's a no. Yeah, before you even reach kind of the edge of the mass of people around the mission, you realize no, he's dashed away far quicker than you could kind of get to him. And I think the other 4 of you will realize that Ascarai is giving up the chase sooner rather than later as well. After he just said that and dashed away.
I'm just going to make for the black square.
I think we're done here.
So is that the idea? No one splitting off?
Where I saw this man, was he within like eavesdropping? Could he have heard what we were talking about where he was when I saw him?
No.
Okay. In that case, I'll maybe I'll head back towards the group. Should I go and try and find this tent?
I think you should. We need at least someone who's seen the feckin' thing rather than just having directions to it.
All right. Well, that man has seen me. If I can successfully change my shape, I will try. Otherwise, I think they'll know who I am, and it won't be worthwhile. But I'll try.
And Tom, last chance if you want to talk to Sarvalu's lot. I think we need to get out of this zone sooner rather than later.
I'm happy to do role playing, but without being too gamifying out of it. You have had from the mission what you can get with a successful persuasion roll. But if you want to do the role play conversation anyway, I'm absolutely happy for that. I just don't want us to revisit and send everyone one by one to try and get some magic information out of them that exists. You know what I mean? So
that's fine. Actually, I think the fact that we were just spotted maybe makes it less likely that Anton would stick around anyway. So I will join the others in returning to the square.
Okay. So Ascarai, is the idea that you want to see how successful you are at a shape-shifting role and then decide whether you're going or not.
Yeah, I'm going to try and look like a goblin. I feel like there's probably some goblins around in Blackmore.
Yeah, sure. And there's a specific, how does that work in terms of how well you can put pull off different shape shifting.
I roll against resolute and I succeed or fail, basically.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a false shape, but only with a successful roll against resolute. And if I interact with someone, I think they get a vigilant roll against my discreet to see if they can.
Right. Is this novice level or?
Yeah, novice level shapeshifter.
Sure.
Okay, so I will roll against my discreet, which is 11. I rolled a 19 again, so...
Was that... sorry, do you mean resolute?
Yes, resolute.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you do not comfortably manage to shift your shape into anything beyond a very slightly different changeling. With that in mind, are you going to dash after the rest of them?
Yeah, I'll dash after the rest of the party and head back to the square.
That seems like a good idea to me.
Just out of curiosity, if Sam had rolled a 20 there, would he like turn into like a Brundlefly abomination, like halfway between two different states, or
he would turn into like a 8-foot version of Ascarai, so like exactly as recognizable as he was before, but really standing out, you know.
I think he'd have turned into Ascarai, but naked. I think so. Sort of that nightmare that you always have of turning up in the refugee camp naked.
Yeah, boy. Or maybe just Ascarai with a flag on his back that says Ascarai. No, I like what I'd probably do with some kind of fumble on that is like just make it so he couldn't shapeshift for the rest of the day or something like that. You know, he's overloaded his, I don't know, shapeshifting muscles, whatever. I think the intent of the shapeshifting isn't that it's actually physical anyway, right? It's kind of like a glamour. So it does, yeah. Anyway, you are making your way through the muddy pathways and narrow between tent gaps of the garbage heap on your way out. You can find your way back to the Black Square easily enough when you're kind of trudging along there, presumably trying to hit a balance between staying somewhat covert and moving as fast as possible to hightail it out of here. As you are doing that, please, could I have a roll from everyone? Might as well on vigilant at +5, please.
I make it.
So that's everyone but Aaron, even at a +5. Aaron, you're trudging on. Maybe you're lost in thoughts of like, you know, maybe you're starting to regret falling in with this band of psychopaths. As you are trudging forward, the other 4 of you very quickly hear what sounds like a commotion in the next sort of muddy row of tents over. It sounds as if they're kind of, you hear the cries of a number of individuals maybe being kind of bashed out of the way a little bit. It does sound like a group of individuals making their way through the tent camp of the garbage heap in a rather forceful way, and it sounds like they're heading towards where you are.
So they're okay. So like we're heading in a direction, and they're kind of coming.
You feel like they're kind of coming to like intercept you, and probably with not a great deal of time to spare. You suspect in the next kind of like, you know, 15-20 seconds, that group is going to be where you are.
Seems we have company.
The God be Ali. Perhaps the mercenaries.
Heads up, Aaron.
Where?
I'm happy for you to have a very, very short conversation, but literally limited to 1 sentence each. And then I'm going to ask you what you're going to do to prepare for this. Perfectly fine answer is everyone runs like hell.
Aaron, stoic silence from me, I think.
Are we standing or are we hiding?
Hide.
Okay. If you are trying to hide, then that will be a discreet roll for everyone. You are surrounded by very quite low, sparse, ragged tents. If everyone who is hiding or attempting to hide can make a discreet roll, please, and that discreet roll will be at a -3.
I made
Anton
it.
made it. Ascarai made it.
Amazingly, I succeeded.
I regret to inform you all, I'm not going to even bother trying, and neither is Steo. Kind of.
I try, but I've taken too long to throw Ascarai his cloak and sort of get it out of the bag without dropping everything else
Sure.
out of it, and fail horribly.
I am happy for the 3 who have succeeded. If Steo isn't even trying, I'm happy for you 3 to say whether or not you just abort your attempt to dive into the tent based on the fact that Steo just seems to be standing there, presumably readying his spear.
I'm not sure I have time to change direction. Like, the armor's quite heavy, so I think I'm just going to pile into the tent.
Sure.
Happy to be the distraction. That's kind of my job.
Yeah, I'll go in the tent and then see what happens with Steo. And always come out of the tent.
Okay. So, Anton, Alindra, and Ascarai, you managed to bundle yourselves into tents on either side. Let's have a bit of a random roll for some flavor on this, if I can actually find the right die. That one will do.
Is you standing your ground just your own attempt to use that one against many enemies ability you've been aching for?
I'm not going to say no, but I'm also kind of, I do have an in-character justification which came to me first, and that is kind of like the bearing of an infantryman, friendos. I need to stop hiding all day. This isn't my job, and I'm getting fed up of sneaking around.
That's fair.
Sure. Anton, the tent you bundle into, the Elindra and Ascarai, your tents are empty, it's all fine. Anton, the tent you bundle into has 2 relatively young looking goblin children, kind of who as you kind of like burst into the tent, kind of gasp in alarm and scrabble away and cower in the corner away from you. They don't seem to really have anything. They're certainly not armed. One of them is using what appears to be a stick with some rags tied to it, perhaps the goblin's equivalent of a doll, which it's holding out towards you and trembling in a kind of attempt to maybe bribe you out of the tent with its achingly pathetic soul possession.
I'm going to try and win them over with a bit of Anton's famous charm, and I'm going to put my fingers to my lips and then give them a warm grin as if to say, you don't need to worry about anything. And I'm going to probably not even then look at them or acknowledge them. I'm going to like be kind of ear to the side of the tent,
obviously
making it clear that I'm not bothered about them.
Sure,
I'm not a threat to them.
Well, why don't you make me a persuasion or persuasive roll then? Which I'm going to modify because you are a stranger who's just burst into the tent of some very young goblin refugees. So I'm going to give you let's say a -2 to that.
Okay, yeah, I make it then. I roll a 7 and my persuasive is 10.
Okay, the 2 goblin children look a little less frightened and just kind of hold on to each other with and staring at you with large eyes, seemingly in very keen anticipation of when you might, leave. So, Steo and Aaron, then, you are holding your ground, and the noises kind of build up of these individuals kind of battering their way through Blackmoor and through the garbage heap, and ahead of you, kind of in a little kind of crossroads between tents, a large figure, that of an ogre clad in the swathed yellow and red of the red eye, kind of stumbles out into the kind of the crossroads between the tents. And turns round, and you can't see its face, but you can hear it roar as it claps eyes on Steo, and swiftly followed behind it by a number of humans and goblins also clad in the same gear. And they're kind of going to charge at you. I am happy, though, for Steo, because you have a long weapon. I know we will come into a lot of circumstances of you getting free attacks on stuff, but I'm happy for you to just get a free attack right now before the initiative even starts, based on those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm going to be activating Friendly Keep Away Master Polearm on large friend there. So I think
but that's part of the initiative. But you're just
that's my
getting a free
attack action.
first.
Yeah. Okay, what's my modifier then?
Your modifier, friend, is going to be a -1.
Yep, I do it.
You hit the big boy. So why don't you give me a damage roll then, please?
That's a D10, isn't it? D10 plus 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
5.
You got deep impact or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. As the ogre kind of rounds ahead of you and turns and roars, you thrust forward, and the tip of your bronze spear plants in the ogre's shoulder. It kind of like swings round and knocks it to one side, and then kind of starts barreling forward towards you, seemingly unconcerned with the well of blood that's starting to soak into its yellowed raggy robes that it has wrapped around itself. And now let's go into combat. So, John, you have your initiative stuffs. You've probably already got all the players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we have an entry for cultists, please? And that should be at quick 11, vigilant 13, which is the same as they were last week. And then we can have one for ogre that's at quick 13, vigilant 7, please. And that's all we need.
Just
and yeah, there's some talk in private chat going on of whether there are goblin children. Yes, there are goblin children. If you did not think that, then you do not have the life cycle of the various races, right?
that's. I think.
Also, your characters will have no awareness of the life cycle of any of them.
That's true.
Especially the ogres, which may be what you're referring to when you doubt the existence of children.
Yes, that's what I realized. Am I putting all of the players on?
Yeah.
Cool.
Everyone gets a go. So, with that in mind, and Steo's had one stab in the ogre already, there are a quick head count will reveal that there are, I'll just say there are 8 cultists. Some of them appear armed with knives. Some of them seem to just be waving their fists threateningly. Askarai, you get to go first. I'm happy with you just firing out of the tent. Obviously, the moment you do so, your position will be revealed, but it's up to you. I believe in Symbaroum, you can hold your initiative back, right? For later in the round.
You can, but only in the first turn, and once you've done it, you're in that position.
You set your position for the rest of the combat.
I think I'm just gonna fire out of the tent. I don't see any reason not to. I'm gonna aim for the cultists, the human cultists, the ones wielding knives, ideally.
Sure. I think I will say, just for the ease of me calculating matters, the goblins have knives, the humans have nothing. Perhaps the Red Eye figured that the goblins needed more of an advantage, or maybe the little guys with the knives might be able to get to you where the humans couldn't. Firing at one of the goblins with knives, go ahead. Their defense is a terrible +1.
Okay, I only need a 16 on my first shot. I rolled a 9, so that hits. And the damage is a d10 +1, which is a 5 total.
So that's 5 damage total. They have no armor. Pain threshold now activates when you go over it, right? Not when you match it. So unfortunately, you are one off doing that. But your arrow kind of thunks into this goblin rather fearsomely, into, we'll say, in their shoulder as well. He said, desperately trying to get his mouse to work again. It only stops working when I'm like tabbed away and unable to kind of do something.
Well, seeing that, I'll take another shot at that goblin anyway.
Sure.
See if I can get him to go down. Stop trying to stab people with a knife. I rolled a 13, which hits. And for damage, I rolled a 3 total.
Rubbish. Yeah. So your other arrow strikes that goblin in the hip, or kind of half strikes in and then kind of comes out. Maybe just the arrowhead is still in there. And that goblin is still barrowing forward, leaking blood onto its ragged robes. Yeah, you haven't managed to down one of them. And clearly they are very interested in carrying on the fight. Elindra, I'm going to say you're in a tent near Steo and Aaron as well. You can see everything out from the kind of flap of the doorway as you want, and the front line of them charging towards you, albeit like maybe 3 abreast at the time in the confines of here. Although very quickly some of these tents could be stomped down in order to expand the battlefield, as it were. You are definitely within a movement of charging into them, should you want to.
Okay. Then I suppose we'll do that. I'm gonna kind of burst out of the tent with the sword. I was going to turn on Revenant Strike for some just additional fireworks, and to see if I could intimidate them into backing down. But given how close they are, I think we're just going to we're going to go for it. So they're at -1 for defense, right?
If you're attacking the cultists, they're at +1, and if you're attacking the ogre, it's at -1.
Am I within range of the ogre?
Yeah.
Okay, I would probably prioritize the ogre.
Sure.
So that's -1 for the ogre, right?
It is indeed.
Lovely. That is that's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Damage is a 3.
Is a 3. You charge the ogre, which kind of reacts swiftly to your presence and kind of rotates its huge body. You see that it's carrying like a very long tree branch that's just had all the the bits kind of knocked off it, and is using that as a huge swinging club. And as it rotates its body, you just manage to kind of like thrust out, and the thrust just kind of you feel contact along its side, and when your blade comes back, there is blood soaked onto it, but you don't think you've wounded the ogre in any significant way.
Sure. For games mechanic purposes, are we considering this a long weapon?
Yes, indeed. The tree branch is indeed a long weapon, but it does not have polar mastery or anything like that, so it can't. Or did I consider it long? I think I actually removed the long capability from it because it's like an ad hoc weapon.
If it's not long, I get a free attack on engaging and then another one.
Oh, well then. I said I didn't consider it long. Oh, is it that? What's the first level of polar mastery? Do you still get an attack on engagement without that, and just with a long?
So this is for two-handed finesse.
First level of polar mastery increases the damage by 1 step.
Right. Okay. So the long thing happens even. Well, You know what? Whether or not I thought it was long, I didn't write it down. So it's not long. So go ahead and take your extra attack.
Okie dokie. Ooh, yeah, that is just squeaked to pass there, and that's 10 damage.
10 damage. Well,
what am I for?
A much better roll. Well, you're not for DPS. Okay. Again, not over its pain threshold. As it kind of rotates its body away from you, and after that initial cut, you sort of bring your blade low and then slash upwards and carve a great gouge along its front. Again, it's covered head to toe in these rags, so it's hard to tell exactly what damage you've done, but you certainly feel the tip of your blade scrape across its rib cage, and the entire front area of those ragged robes soaks kind of red and brown and other unpleasant colors, and scraps of meat and innards start falling out and scattering on the floor. However, the ogre is still up, still moving around, and still roaring in anger. So it's not quite dead yet. And speaking of it not being quite dead yet, we're going to have it attack Elindra. So could you please give me a defense roll at a -5?
Oof. Right. Oh, wow. Yes, no, I passed that. I needed an 8. I got a 6.
There we go. It kind of turns on you, its attention, safe to say, fully taken from Steo now. And it swings that long, battered tree branch around in a great overhead sweep that you quite easily manage to just bend at the knees and duck out of the way of it. Aaron, there are still 8 unengaged cultists kind of charging towards basically everyone but Anton at this point. Although you suspect Ascarai is probably kind of less observed than the others. And yeah, what are you going to do?
I'm trying to figure out whether shouting for parley would have any effect on either side.
Well, you're going to have to, if you want to attack, you'll have to move forward. So if you're going to shout for parley and try and use a persuasive thing as an action, that's going to eliminate your movement, which would mean you won't get an attack in, but it's up to you.
I think I'm going to oh god. I'm going to move to try and, I guess, cover Ascarai from the incoming swarm of cultists, and then use my action for the persuasive roll. Can I do it that way around?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So you move to kind of stand in front of Ascarai's tent, which will make it very difficult for them to kind of get past you without being engaged by you. Then you can give me a persuasive roll at difficulty -5.
Ooh,
Please.
okay.
And my mouse, literally every time I click onto my preparatory Excel sheet, my mouse goes dead. Which means it's awkward because it means I can't do anything else. There we go. I'm back on. Sorry, what did you say?
Target of 6 and I rolled a 2.
You got a 6 and you rolled a 2. I don't understand.
My target was a 6 and I rolled a 2.
Okay.
So I passed.
Yes, I'm trying to come up with a way I can give you a result while not fundamentally not changing anything, because they ain't gonna stop coming at you.
That's fair.
Sorry, I have to unplug and replug my mouse's USB when this happens. It's the only way to fix my mouse going off. Expensive mouse. Happens all the time. So...
Does Aaron accidentally kill the whole party by persuading all of us to stop fighting, but does nothing to persuade them to stop fighting?
I am going to say that all cultists who end up charging at you will not attack you this round, because they've at least been halted in kind of confusion that you want to talk to them, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That is as far as it goes, though. You are not going to be able to kind of just parlay your way out of this.
I'll take that.
They've come to kill you, and they have zero intentions of doing anything else. So,
Aaron's an optimist.
Yeah, sure. But I wanted to give you a concrete result, so it didn't just feel like you didn't have any option. But yeah. So speaking of those cultists, all right, what I'm going to do here is they kind of can't get to Ascarai now. So what I'm going to do is I think they'll be reluctant to engage Alindra because they'll probably feel like the ogre has that fight. Clearly not, but as far as they're concerned. Therefore, what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll a d12. On 1 to 5, they're coming at Steo. 6 to 10, they're coming at Arin, and 11 and 12, they're going to Alindra. How about that? And I have 8 of them here to roll for.
I have a thing because of my marksman level 2 that the goblin I wounded has to. I roll against.
Oh, is it a pinning thing? Yeah.
Marksman level. I rarely use it because they're normally dead.
Well, go ahead and use that because that could be useful here.
Okay.
So what stat do you need of his?
I roll my accurate against his strong, and if
His strong will add a +1 to your roll. So,
Okay,
it's a modifier of +1. It's a good modifier.
Okay, so I need 11, and I roll a 5, so he cannot move.
He cannot move. So that one is not moving to engage anyone. So instead, 7 times I will now roll this, and we have 1 for Steo. We have 1 for Arin. We have another one for Arin. We have 1 for Arin. But this is, while Steo will be frustrated by this, it's also good news because they're not doing it. They're not attacking this round. Another one for Arin. 1 for Steo. And 1 for Steo. So that's almost half and half. So yeah, 4 of them, and that's 2 of the goblins and 2 of the humans kind of dash towards you, Arin, and they have to kind of stamp over some tents to do this. And you hear some kind of like squawking and howling inside tents, and you see kind of people trying to scramble away under the collapsed fabric. But 4 of them are kind of coming to you, but you've stopped them where they are, kind of like. They seem to not understand why you'd want to talk. That's not Games Master judgment on you. That is a genuine character thing for them.
That makes sense.
So they're not going to attack you this round. But put it like you just. It doesn't seem to be a thing where they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk." It's a thing where you kind of surprise them briefly off their course of trying to stab you. On the other hand, we've got a goblin and 2 humans coming for Steo, and that means Steo's got 3 attacks to make. 3 free attacks on engagement.
Finally.
So they're all at defense +1. Let's deal with the goblin first.
1 success on the goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Damage is 7.
Damage is 7. That, my friend, is over the pain threshold. Would you like to knock it prone, or would you like an extra attack on that goblin?
I'll take the extra attack, please.
Go ahead then. Another one at +1. This way just wipes all 3 of them out before they even reach him.
Don't even say those things. It's been so long since I've been useful. But the attack is a success for 4 damage.
That is enough. You know what? Let's roll all these before I do the old narration, right? Because that adds something to it. That goblin is dead, just so you know. So the first of these humans.
Sorry, everybody.
Let's have a free attack on them.
That is also a success with a 5. Damage is 6.
Okay. Damage is 6, you said. Well, that's over the pain threshold.
Once again. A 10 is a success, and the damage is 8.
Yep. And the next one? Final one?
Is a 9, which is a success. All rolling low numbers here, which is nice. The damage is an 11. Merciful jellied lumps.
Ouch.
So, 3 cultists charge at Steo. And I think it's fair to say...
Can I be super indulgent and remind you of Steve's change in fighting style since the gap between the big adventure and the start of this one?
I mean, you can, although I was going to suggest the other way because I find it difficult to imagine how you'd go full Jedi and wipe out 3 of them charging into your position. But if you like, I will attempt.
No, it's okay. You have the better judgment for this.
Well, let's try and incorporate a bit of both. So the three cultists kind of charge towards you, a goblin and two humans. The goblin wielding what looks like a kind of like wicked, like a dinner knife that's been kind of sharpened out into a sharper blade. And as they come towards you, the first thing that happens, one of the humans just dives towards you with a cry. You literally, you've adopted your infantryman position as someone being charged, and you just steady, for old time's sake, you steady the foot of your spear against your own foot and just swing and lower it onto the charge, and that human just dives onto your spearhead, gouging a great rent in his throat, which erupts blood over and spatters blood all around you over the other goblin and the human, and he collapses to the ground, coughing and choking, and going still very quickly into the mud. As the others sort of are slightly distracted and looking to one side by this, the goblin gives a cry nevertheless and scampers towards you. You trip the goblin quite badly. You hear a crack, maybe it's patella or shin, knocked to one side by the sweep of your spear, which you then twist round and stab into it on the ground. The other human is coming towards you. You pitch the head, the blunt end of your spear over, and the human, like the human beforehand, runs into it, but this time kind of cracks into it with his Adam's apple sort of crunching into the whatever is underneath, and as he kind of staggers back, choking, you flip the spear back round, take a sharp step forward, and thrust, and it's done. The goblin and the two humans never even made close to contact with you.
I love how I went from delight through to regret through to revulsion over the course of that 5 or 6 minutes there. Thank you.
If anything does occur to you from this quick and brutal put down, Steo, these are not warriors. So that's it for the cultists. So Steo, you now have your actual action. Because that was all within the cultists' turn. What were you saying about being useless again?
Yeah. Look, I mean, in fairness, it's not so much me that's useless. It's the 30 gosh darn experience points I sunk into polearm mastery, which has yet to be used.
It will be used. Don't you worry. Maybe not when you're fighting desperate refugees turned to a cult out of their own economic and spiritual misfortune, though. So. What we have left are two goblins and two humans that seem to have been like, Aaron shouted something, you're not quite sure what, in the din, and it caused them to kind of come to a halt. And there's a very grievously wounded ogre fighting kind of Elindra, holding onto that tree branch with one hand, as with the other hand it's trying to pack its guts back inside its frame. What would you like to do with your action?
Actual attack, I think I will address the major threat and take a go at the ogre.
Sure, and I think I'm happy with you flanking it as well. So why don't you have an attack at +1 then, please? And you can add +d4 to the damage if you hit.
That is a 7, which is a pass. That's 8, +1 is 9, plus the d4, 10, 11, 12, 13 points of damage.
Absolutely. Elindra, you're kind of backing away and readying yourself for another strike at this ogre. You've killed it. You know that you've killed it now. It's just a matter of time. But as it happens, you don't even need to ready your blow, as the familiar glinting bronze tip of Steo's spear just emerges from the ogre's eye in front of you. It opens its mouth and gives the start of another roar, but the roar dies almost as soon as it emerges, and the ogre slumps off and you have to kind of like dance backwards slightly as the ogre kind of crashes into the mud, and another tent beside you falls in on itself.
I'll give Steo a nod.
Kill secured.
So, Anton, you have seen all this, obviously. What are you doing in there, in that tent?
Just minding my own business with a couple of goblin children. No, I'll barrel out and head in the direction of Arendar, I think.
Sure. And you're going to try and flank attack one of those?
No, I'm going to join the cultist in attacking Arendar.
In attacking Arendar, yeah. yeah, there's a couple of goblins there, both armed with knives, and a couple of humans who just seem to be trying to kind of grab Aaron and beat him with their fists.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm sort of unnoticed at this point, so I wonder if there's a way that I can just sort of like maybe shoulder charge into one or two of them at the same time or something like that.
Do you mean kind of trying to knock them down rather than a full-on attack?
Yeah.
You know, let's. I don't think you could do it with more than two of them. That seems
No,
unrealistic,
I'm not.
But, yeah, you're not like Roman Reigns or something, just plowing into them. That's a wrestling reference, Mike. So Mike famously loves wrestling but knows nothing about it. So
surely he'd be doing a Braun Strowman.
Don't confuse the lad. So you know what? We'll just do an opposed strong roll, and I'll give you an extra bonus for being unexpected as well. So why don't you give me a strong roll? I'm going to need
that because I'm not strong.
Why don't you give me a strong roll at +3?
No, don't make it. Not even close. And let's not discuss
Father
how
Anton
far away I was.
Barrels out of the tent. And just you kind of impact into the humans who are like just standing there facing Aaron, and you kind of nudge them essentially, and they just kind of like reel back and turn around and give out a cry. The goblins are now engaging Aaron, the humans are now engaging Anton, and have like turned on you and a kind of kill the priest sort of thing. Great battle cry and probably a good band. So we are going to wheel back round to the beginning of the combat. Ascarai. So there's a goblin that's been pinned in place by your arrows that's nearly dead. There's 2 goblins fighting Aaron and 2 humans fighting Anton.
I'm going to shoot the ones trying to fight Anton for no reason at all.
Sure. So that's those are just attacks at +1.
Okay, I need a 16.
Minus 1? Minus 1. No, +1. Yes.
I rolled a 3 in any case. So that hits. And for damage, I got a 2. +1 is 3.
That is a 3. One of them howls as your arrow manages to slam into what you would guess is the human's buttock as it's turned to engage Father Anton. It doesn't seem to massively steer him off his chosen course of beating a priest to death, but there's always your next shot.
Yep, I'm definitely going to try again. Not satisfied with shooting him in the butt once. I rolled a 12, so that hits. And for damage, I got a 6. +1 is 7.
There we go. The human kind of howls and kind of whips around to try and wrench the arrow out from the very painful position it's occupied in his posterior. And as he does so, that affords you a very good view of the individual's throat, which you target. Another arrow sprouts from it, and he wheels backwards and crashes to the ground in the center of the muddy pathway between the tents. One of those humans fighting you, Anton, is dead and has fallen to the ground, pin-cushioned with Ascarai's arrows. Elindra. Now, can we see if we can literally wrap this combat entirely up in 2 rounds?
We can have a go, can't we? Okay, so I'm gonna wheel around from what's left of the ogre. And given that the goblins appear to just be standing there, kind of looking at Aaron, I'm gonna give Aaron his chance to have his parlay, and I'm gonna go for the remaining human.
Okay, no problem. And you can go for a flank on this one. So you can roll that at a +3.
Ooh. Yep, that's a hit. And
then an extra D4 to the damage.
An extra D4 to the damage. That would be 7 in total.
Okay. That gets over this human cultist's pain threshold. Do you want to knock him prone, or do you want to get another attack?
Finish him.
Go for it. Again at a +3.
All right. That's a 1.
So yeah, so that's interesting. So that's
an extra D6 on the damage.
is that
roll?
like a double? If you're flanking and you get a perfect hit, does that mean you get 2 plus D4s?
I believe this has happened before, and I believe it stacks.
It's a
Yeah.
D6 for
It's a D6
perfect
and
hit.
a D4 and a
Oh, is it a D6 for a perfect hit?
I think
So
so.
it's the D12 for the sword, the D6 for the perfect hit, and the D4 for the advantage, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. 11.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, you charge into this human from behind who is completely oblivious to your presence. Your first blow kind of almost severs the cultist's leg at one knee, and then before he can crash to the ground, you kind of quickly flip your sword around, thrust through, impale him. You feel kind of one. You've impaled him through the heart from behind. He's probably dead before he saw the blade emerge from his torso. So that got rid of that human. Anton, you have no one fighting you now. They're both dead. So Aaron, these two goblins definitely look like they've been given pause, but that really hasn't deterred them from the notion of leaping on you and stabbing you in your most sensitive areas.
I think I want to honor the call for parley, and also I can attack reflexively. So I think I'm going to wait.
So
Stay in my
are you
action.
going to make another persuasive roll to try and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Try and convince them to calm down.
Okay. I'm going to say to achieve anything even remotely with this, you're going to have to roll a 1.
Okay. I do not.
Okay.
I roll a 7, which is sort of shaped like a 1.
Well, why don't you what do you try and start to say?
There doesn't need to be any more bloodshed.
Okay, you get to there doesn't need, and then they howl and die for you with the knives clenched sweatily in their hands. You still have you have either a movement or a combat action remaining. They're not engaged with you yet. They're coming for you. So, oh no, they did engage you. They did engage you.
They did.
So yeah, I'm happy for you to have your combat action remaining and to try and stab one of them as they come for you if you want.
Yeah, if they're lunging for me,
They are.
Yep.
They're definitely about to attack you.
Yep.
It's a +1.
That is a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 damage.
6 damage. That is over the pain threshold. Prone or extra attack?
Extra attack. No. Yes. Impulsive, I said it. Yeah. It's a hit with 3 damage.
Okay. So as one of them comes towards you, you know, your fencer stance, you are fully ready. You whip out a slash with your is it a saber or a rapier?
Rapier.
A rapier. In that case, you kind of as it comes for you, you flick out a stab which seems to enter into the goblin's bowels. And again, as you step back with another stab into maybe between its ribs in some capacity, you suspect the goblin is dead, but it doesn't know it yet. And it still seems to be stumbling towards you, clumsily attempting to stab you, as is the other one. Can you give me 2 defense rolls, please? They're just flat. 2 flat defense rolls, please.
Okay, so my first defense roll, flat, is a pass, and I'm going to do a riposte, which is a hit for 4 damage. And then second...
Okay, do you know if does that activate before we work out their full attack? Because let's do this in order here.
How do you mean, sorry?
Let's do shall we? Do we need to calculate the full details of its attack before you start doing an attack on it and dealing damage that might kill it? Does that make sense?
Well, my because I was a successful.
Oh, did you
defense.
just? Oh,
Yeah.
I see a successful.
I can only
defense,
do
okay.
an attack on a successful defense.
Sure. Okay.
And that is a successful. No. Yes. A perfect defense. And the riposte from that does 6 damage.
Okay. A perfect defense, which means you also get a free attack on them.
Yes.
So go ahead and calculate that. And how much damage does that second riposte have? We need to do these in a more calculated way, or I'm going to lose track.
Sorry, the second one did 6 damage.
Okay. Which also takes it over its pain threshold. So you'll get 2 more free attacks if you want, or you can knock it prone.
I'll do an extra attack.
Mm-hmm.
The first free attack from the perfect defense did 4 damage.
The first free attack from the perfect did 4 damage. Okay, then we don't need to bother doing anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, the one stumbling nearly dead comes from you, and the other one, you flick your rapier to deflect the clumsy blows they aim at you from their knives, and they within seconds they're both dead with a few thrusts of your rapier. Is it definitely a rapier?
I mean, it's just written.
That would seem kind of
sword.
chronologically difficult for this society.
All it says is fencing sword, and I did the art as a rapier.
I think it's probably a saber rather than a fencing épée or rapier.
Fair enough.
But maybe it's a cross between the two. I don't know. We'll sort that out later anyway. In any case, the only goblin now left alive is the one that was pinned by Ascarai. By Ascarai's arrow. Ascarai, does that pinning effect last in any way, or is it just...
It lasts until he passes it.
Right, okay. In that case, let's make another roll, shall we? So I believe that's against his strong, right? Which gave you a plus one. Yeah.
I need 11. I rolled a 4, so he is still stuck.
Okay, then he isn't doing anything. In that case, this very badly wounded goblin is just there kind of... And I'm not going to say you've actually kind of pinned him to the ground in some way or against a nearby fence post, because that wouldn't seem to match what we're doing. But let's interpret it as just, your arrows have hit vital enough parts that the goblin really is only capable of staggering forwards very, very slowly and in great pain. I think we can safely remove the initiative here. Is someone going to quickly finish the goblin off, or do we have other ideas?
I'll once again giving opportunity for Aaron or Anton to object, just with a sad look on my face, move towards the goblin and set up to...
The goblin, as it's staggering forwards in a similar manner to the others, is sort of has his eyes fixed on you, Steo, as the one coming towards him, and you can hear kind of whistling out from beneath the blood-soaked rags of its hood, just Rugama. Is anyone stopping Steo?
He's not going to talk.
He could be handed in.
Suppose we could tie him up.
I mean, there are plenty of other red-eye goblins in this camp, which is going to get rolled in an hour or two. Like, if they want to take prisoners, they can then. I would rather this party did not get back to the tent with news of what happened here.
I'll go ahead and complete the execution.
Sure. One carefully aimed spear thrust sends the goblin to whatever rewards or hell await him very swiftly.
I will kind of prop myself up with the spear and look a lot tireder than I normally would look after fighting much more terrible enemies.
I'm going to busy myself by helping the nearby people disentangle themselves from the trampled tents.
Oh, all the nearby people have gone.
Okay.
Fled very quickly away from what happened here. You can see away from the immediately trampled area, like around 20 feet away, there are some people kind of staring curiously around the sides of tents, or even kind of over the top of them. And a lot of attention is definitely being paid. but no one is nearby you now.
I think we should head for Galamar's tent. They know we're here. They're not.
We need to get the information to.
Yeah, Marvello
Aaron, do you want to pass the information on to? I think you're the most hesitant about what has to be done here. I think it makes the most sense for you to give the final.
Chris every week is so super enthusiastic to split the party at all times.
I like the idea that Aaron is the most hesitant, is the one that's going to be assigned to tell Marvello where the tent is, thus triggering the massacre.
Testing his loyalty
I think.
to the murder party.
Do you know what? Look, we're not here for blood. We're here for a job. Let's go get a feckin' pint and let's do this the way we've been told to. This is not going. There's no honor in anything that's going to happen this afternoon. Let's just get mentally ready for it.
They know we're here.
100%.
What are they going to be here in a couple of hours when Marvello arrives?
Maybe they don't know Marvello's coming here.
They know we're here. We just killed a bunch of them with absolutely not a scratch on any of us.
We also did that this morning. They knew we were here then. They followed us on the road.
They knew we were coming.
Well,
And
none
in
of those
both,
got back to Blackmore.
yes, and none of these got back to the tent. And in
The
both
fact they
cases,
sent
they
this
came
party
for
after
us.
Ascarai, is your intention to talk to Galamar or otherwise?
I think we should go and try to talk to him. It doesn't seem as though the people they have are capable of stopping us from getting to Galamar. Once we get to Galamar, we can try whatever we can to talk with him. I think if we wait, they might all leave. Galamar might leave. Why would we wait at this point?
I think it's safe to say, by the way, that enough time has passed in both conversation and traveling and combat here that probably you'd estimate that, Marvello is probably going to arrive at the Black Square within half an hour. So anything you want to do, if you want Marvello to be told or involved in any way, which was your agreement with him, and I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just giving you the information, like, at least someone is going to have to be in the Black Square when he arrives.
Don't know if I have it in me to leave Marvello stood in the middle of this place waiting for instructions.
Marvello's been good to us, and he could make our lives a bit more difficult if he didn't give us his blessing to do whatever we do in Thistlehold, investigate things and interrogate people and just generally make a nuisance of ourselves. I don't think we can afford to upset him.
Right, so it's the same plan as we had before, but instead of sending us in 10 minutes before some of us go now.
No, I think we just go back, tell Marvello, and look, there's not long either way. We'll be lucky if we finish the pint. I want to get this day over with.
Ascarai, you were originally going to scout Galamar's tent anyway.
I think they're now too aware of who I am. I tried to change my phone, but it went not so well. I think if I went there now, it would be most likely they'd just see me, basically.
I think I would rather they saw us leave the garbage pile.
Yeah. I suppose if Marvello will be here soon, we can wait half an hour.
We can ask him for a head start. We can ask him to try to take Galamar alive. We can't control the outcome of today completely. There are too many variables, but we can ask.
Yeah, we need to let them know these are kids. They don't even have weapons. This is nothing good. Oh, what a crap job.
I think maybe Askarai and I should go to the tent. And you three go to Marvello. And if we're not out by the time you and Marvello get there, then there's your answer.
Fine.
Askarai?
I'm fine with it. I think if we arrive and start meeting resistance, we'll head back, but I'm happy to go and try.
You can still be overpowered. Just because they're kids in cloth doesn't mean they can't tie you up or pin you down or something. And that's their goal. You know, they have a mark on all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't see you before Marvello decides that it's time to roll in, we'll let him know that that's where you went.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So then Aaron and Askarai are making their way towards Red Eye's tent through the garbage heap. And Stia, Walindra, and Anton are retreating to the Black Square to await the arrival of Captain Marvello and the City Guard. So let's deal, I think, with Askarai and Aaron's fate first. So, words chosen very intentionally. Okay, so you're making your way through the garbage heap towards where you were told Red Eye's tent is on the very eastern edge. There seems to be a lot of hubbub going on, unsurprisingly. Almost everyone who claps eyes on you either watches you pass curiously or dashes off. You're making your way roughly towards that. Are you doing it kind of circuitously, or are you just kind of trying to go as fast as possible? Are you trying to be discreet? What's the plan here?
I think I would follow Aaron's lead. If he wants to be sneaky, then I would be up for that. If he wants to just walk and see what we encounter, then
I think, considering they sent a party directly to us, being sneaky, I'm not particularly sneaky. That feels slightly deceitful. I think walking straight up is maybe the most honest.
yeah, I'm happy with that. So just walking towards where we've been told this tent is.
Okay, sure. So you make your way through the tents of the garbage heap. You can kind of hear the mission still carrying out their duties to a short distance to the south as you make your way roughly directly across the garbage heap. And after, say, 10 or 15 minutes or so, you notice that the tents become slightly more sporadic around you, kind of the path slightly less intensely muddy, a few fewer puddles around. And you also notice that the people you encounter start giving you sort of measured, harder stares and stop dashing away from you as you make your way through until you emerge in a slightly more open area. You can see that it's the edge of the camp, because beyond a large tent ahead of you, you can see where kind of the mud starts turning into kind of grass and an open meadowland as it rolls away towards the east. And this large tent that's almost at the very, very edge of Blackmoor is the focus of a lot of attention. There are a great many individuals standing around it, some of them on guard, some of them just kind of loitering, all of them wearing the wrapped, ragged robes of the Red Eye, which I don't think we fully described in this session, but they're all kind of dyed yellow head to foot with that kind of like circular splotch of the Red Eye itself on their, what passes for their kind of cowls or hoods that are wrapped all the way around their faces. There are goblins, there are humans there. You can see at least a couple of ogres, and a lot of the people who are standing around and kind of staring at you, who aren't dressed in the Red Eyes robes, are kind of like, as Aaron and Askarai, you pass, at least one of them says, Are you crazy?
Maybe. Hopefully not, though.
Can you give me 2 discrete rolls, please? And I need both of you to roll on these.
Okay.
For just kind of, you said you weren't sneaking, but I'm literally just want to see if you've been noticed yet. And can you give me a discrete roll first against -3, please? Well, actually, 2 rolls. Both of them are against -3.
Okay.
I failed them both.
I also fail them both.
Okay. The Red Eye cultists surrounding the tent. One of them gives out a kind of inarticulate cry and points in your direction, and the others turn round. A number of them start to jeer, and a few of them start to kind of like move forwards, and you can see that a couple of them, but not many, seem to be kind of like wielding like small wicked knives like the goblins you fought. But most of them, the vast majority of them, seem unarmed. One of the ogres is lumbering forwards, like hefting a large kind of battered tree branch in a similar manner to the other one. They seem somewhat in disbelief that 2 of you have just walked up to them. What are you going to do? They're
How
not in
many?
like they have to like spend a couple of turns charging towards you, so you do have some space still from them. Maybe, let's say you're maybe 30 feet away from the nearest of them. Sorry, what did you say, Sam? How many of them are there?
Yeah, just roughly how many?
Why don't you give me a vigilant roll?
Okay. Is it just flat vigilant?
Yeah, let's say flat vigilant. You know, it's overcast, but it's light. You're in the early afternoon here, so
I fail. I rolled an 18. I need a 15.
okay. Yeah, I mean, many of them, but you can't really pin it down to a number right now.
And the tent is within sight of us. We see
It absolutely is. It has, it's like a large, like not a one-person tent, like you'd see like a tent in a war camp or something to barrack a number of individuals, or it's a celebration of a noble of some kind. It's large and it's kind of ragged and patched together from lots of different swathes of cloth, but all of those cloths are red.
Okay.
As the ogres, like when they're still a distance away, I will call and ask, "Will you parley? Will we talk?"
Please give me a persuasive roll at a -5, please.
That's a fail.
Okay. As kind of the front group of them is starting to step kind of towards you now, and as they do so, one of the goblins is kind of hunkered down low and kind of holding a knife kind of directly in front of it, clasped together in its 2 hands, and starts to go, "Ragama, Ragama, Ragama," and the cry kind of spreads all along the line of cultists as they all start to scamper or lurch, or in the case of the ogres, kind of stride towards you, hefting their weapons in their fists. They don't appear amenable to discussion.
I think we are here in vain, Ascarai.
It does seem that way.
Rapid retreat?
It's either going to be that or a lot of fighting. So if we're going to fight, we may as well do it with the others. So I think a rapid retreat sounds good.
Okay. Why don't we first off I don't know what that is. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. And the 2 of you are there. So, oh, you know what? No, we'll do it this way. Ascarai, can you please give me a defense roll, please, at a -3?
Okay. I'll need a 12, I think. I got a 15, so I fail.
Okay. Can you then give me an armor roll then, please?
Yep.
And you obviously you have your Haganor cloak back now, so.
I rolled 4 on my armor.
Okay, and can you also give me a strong roll at a -5, please?
Ooh, this is going to be tough. My strong is really bad, I think. Okay, I need a 2 or better. And I rolled a 12.
Okay.
So,
So the first thing that happens is you feel just an odd little stinging kind of on your breast there. And as you glance down, you can see that a dart about 2 inches of length is just sticking out of you and has been fired at you by who knows what. And that will be an immediate 2 toughness, please.
Okay.
And then, with the sinking feeling of an odd, tingling, burning sensation spreading out from the nearby kind of the flesh and muscle nearby, can you make a roll, please, of a d6?
Okay. This is going poorly. I rolled a 3.
3. And can you give me another d6, please?
Another d6. Oh,
Mhm.
God. Another 3.
Okay. Your arm starts to go numb and tingle, and even as you look down and see, your hand is going blue through kind of like as if you've been in very cold water or been lying on it. Can you take another 3 toughness, please?
Okay.
You have been struck by some kind of projectile, and you have a very strong suspicion that you've been poisoned. Are we both sticking with the running plan?
Yes.
That sounds like a good idea.
Sure. Why don't you give me then quickness rolls, please? And you are quite a bit ahead of them, I think. So why don't you both give me quick rolls at a +2?
Okay. I got a
Pass.
1.
Lovely. Clearly, the situation escalated by your fear of what's flowing through your system as you make your way. Yeah, you both start to run as fast as you can. And Blackmoor, especially the garbage heap, is a difficult place to run in. A lot of mud and puddles underfoot, but you are kind of like, as much as you can, you're making your way back. And I'm assuming you're making your way fairly directly west in a line to where Marvello and his company will presumably be coming from.
Yeah, to the square.
Okay,
Yep.
absolutely. And as you do that, Ascarai, can you give me another d6 roll, please?
Okay. To be clear, I currently have 5 health. So
Sure.
Just so everyone's aware. I rolled another 3.
Okay, take another 3 toughness, please.
Okay. Now I have 2 health.
You don't feel in tremendous pain, but the tingling has spread all over your body now, and your breathing is ragged even for your running. You feel like your chest is seizing up and stopping responding to being able to take big breathfuls coming in and out. Not a great situation to be in, and it would be awful if we made that a situation of extreme suspense by changing the scene. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So the 3 of you arrived in the black square, and as you did so, you kind of stepped out into this, as I described it last time, very oddly, especially coming from the garbage heap, weirdly similar to just the square of a village or a town, with kind of dark cobblestones and large timber buildings around you. The small but very functional keep of the bailiff of Blackmoor, of House Erebus ahead of you. And as you step into the square, you can see ahead of you in the near distance, walking visibly along the path, the same muddy path that you took from Thistlehold, you see a large company of city guard led by a figure kind of like, it is Marvello, but kind of, you can see him, the one with the cloak and the large shield, kind of like striding forwards. And within moments, both you and the city guard are in Black Square.
No time for a pint then.
No. I assume Marvello's at the head.
Absolutely.
I'll just kind of approach him and give him kind of a half-hearted salute.
Sergeant.
Captain, we have isolated there on the west side of the camp. We should probably make haste.
Just to check, are you giving him false information on purpose?
No. East side of the camp?
East side of the camp, yeah.
We have found them on the east side of the camp. They're at the very edge, a massive tent. You can't miss them, apparently. Ascarai and Arundar went ahead to try and parley.
Parley?
I'm not going to lie to you. They are mostly unarmed. They're just desperate wretches like the rest of them. There's going to be no honor in this fight, if it's a fight at all.
And particularly expected it. Look, I have no intention of destroying half of Blackmore here, but cults need rooting out. I understand any concerns you have, and clearly any concerns Sadar and your other companion have, but we will do here what we must.
There are missionaries here that asked if as much as possible could be done to make it as targeted as possible. Their leader, Red Eye, also goes by the name of Galamar. If it were possible to go to the tent and just take him.
Oh.
I'm not expecting miracles.
Believe you me, if he can be taken alive, he will. We will need information. And then, after we have found out all we can, he goes under the Sun Temple with the rest of them.
Just piling all the sins in one big pile, I suppose, is sufficient. We should make a start.
It's what Alfino has requested. So he turns around to the company who are sort of there, kind of like adjusting their armor, and he says, 5 minutes. Take a drink. Make sure you're ready. Then we march. They're not far now. They all kind of like nod. You see Steo from your familiarity with them. There are very few green guard members here. These are, for the most part, kind of former sellswords, former soldiers, fairly seasoned killers, and you don't see a lot of fear or anxiety about this. They seem fairly realistic about what may be the level of challenge they might face.
Well, Alindra, I have good news and bad news. No one here is a young warrior. By the look of them, they're the closest thing Thistlehold Guard has to the best. The bad news is that means they're going to be what they lack in youthful enthusiasm. They make up for in efficiency.
Marvello is kind of pacing among them, talking quite loudly, like anyone nearby can definitely hear, and is just saying, if any of them surrender to you, allow them to do so. That's why we have the ropes. That's why we have the manacles. They follow someone called the Red Eye. Apparently his real name is Galamar. Try and keep him alive, but no guard here falls on that account. That kind of thing. The blood cloaks of the who Erebus presumably uses as some of his heavies are kind of like looking at the city guard, and you can see that one of them opens their mouth to kind of make some kind of comment, and then another nudges them and kind of points towards Marvello and whispers in their ear, and the blood cloak kind of like settles back, clearly not wishing to risk the captain's ire. Most of the other inhabitants of the Black Square have retreated back into the buildings.
Steo, is this our window? We should make a move, right? Before Marvello and his troop get going.
You ready? Is everyone ready? Linda?
We're still going to the tent before Marvello.
Like 40 seconds before Marvello, we're just going to be in the first wave.
Let's fine. Like, do we need to tell him we're going to be in there first, or are we
I'm
on the
going to
front
tell him
lines?
we're going to be in there first. We own that much.
Okay.
Yeah,
kind of
he's
shout-
kind of near you, just kind of talking to
Yeah,
his
I'll just
guard.
kind of go, Marvello, we're going to be a few steps ahead of you. We already have guys in there. Hopefully they're okay. But
You sure?
yeah, we'll not be too far ahead.
All right. Anything you find, anything you hear, you're going to tell me that, right?
100%. But the things we're looking for are our companions. And
All
any
right.
clues, I suppose.
Well, we'll be behind you in about 60 seconds.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, you head forward along the path that leads to the east. And as you do so, Ascarai and Aaron, could I have a quick roll from both of you, please?
Pass.
Fail.
Okay. Ascarai, could you give me another d6 roll, please?
Okay. I rolled a 4.
Okay. That takes you to toughness 0, right?
Yep. Toughness -2.
Okay. So, Aaron, is Aaron aware that you've been hit and poisoned?
I think as we were running, as I got worse, I would probably try and like cling to Aaron to like, Aaron, I'm in trouble here. Like, please pull me along if you can spare some.
Sure. Aaron, as you're running along, you're kind of like grasping onto Ascarai and trying to help him along. It's worth noting you can't really hear sounds of pursuit, like you feel like you left those behind quite a way ago. And as you maybe turn to Ascarai to remark on as such, you hear one kind of final ragged drawing of breath from Ascarai, and he just goes dead weight on your arm and pitches forward into the mud of the pathway. He does not appear to be breathing.
Oh,
You hear the sound of a small group of individuals who sound armed and armored coming towards you on the path ahead.
path ahead, probably Marvello's. Is Antom anywhere near the front of them?
You I mean, you
Or
can't see
I
them.
can't see
You can
'cause
hear
they-
them.
Sure. I'm going to try and hoist Ascarai over my shoulder or drag him if I need to, carry him to the moving group.
Absolutely. So why don't you give me a strong roll, please? And I see no reason for any particular modifiers. Yeah.
That is a fail.
That is a fail. Okay. So, Ascarai, can you give me a death roll, please?
Okay, it's a D20, and I'm trying to roll.
It's a d20 and you're trying to roll low like normal.
Okay. I rolled a 19.
It doesn't matter. The main thing that don't roll a 20. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. 19.
Not
Okay.
even close.
Can you
No
make a
problem.
marker, please, on your anywhere of 1? You do not want that to hit 3. So, Aaron, you don't manage to kind of pick up and haul Ascarai very far before you also kind of like stumble and drop to your knees in the mud, kind of just soaked up to your hips now in mud and water as you're desperately trying to drag Ascarai forwards. Round some tents ahead of you come your 3 companions. There are who were the individuals making the noise clearly. Ahead of you in the dirt and mud and water of the pathway, Ascarai is slung across Aaron's, or apart across Aaron's shoulders, as Aaron desperately kind of shifts and tries to drag Ascarai. Ascarai's mask drops off and splashes into a puddle in front of him. He is deathly pale. Blue, grey.
Father?
Two
Father.
healers?
Right, rushing.
Sure. Steo, are you doing the same?
Yes, but can I scope out what the state of any pursuit is?
I mean, I'd say if you're focusing on healing, probably not.
I'm not focusing on healing. I want to take a turn, and I want to make sure it's a safe place.
Seeing if they're being followed.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure. Okay. Ascarai, can you give me another death roll, please?
Okay. I rolled a 5.
Okay. That's nothing right now. No other further mark has to be made. Steo, not that I'm dragging this out by making the crucial rolls come last or anything, but Steo, can you give me a vigilant roll, please?
Sure. Oh, big fail, 15.
Big fail. There's a kind of general tumult in the garbage heap. You can hear a lot of people kind of running around. You can hear some people kind of shouting at each other. And through the general hubbub, you're not far from the soup kitchen as well. And you get the sense a number of people are still gathered there. Among that general hubbub, you really can't pick out if, there could be no one following Aaron and Ascarai, or that you could literally be about to be set upon by a number of individuals. You have no idea. Anton, please make your Medicus roll.
I don't. Oh well, can I pass a quick judgment over him? Because I don't think that if he is as you described, then I don't think I would make a Medicus roll. Because if I could sort of see that he's blue, not breathing, sort of collapsed, I think I might just reach straight into my robes and bring out a small vial of.
Yeah. You can absolutely, do that. Yeah, you'll bring out the water of the dusk.
Yeah. I think I would just go straight to that.
Absolutely, and the water of the dusk there's no roll, is there? It's just a D10 healing, right?
Yeah, I think it is D10. I think I always forget that you have to roll the D10 for it, but yeah. I think you're right.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Anton, you dash over. How many doses? Because you had your doses restored, right? By what's the name of the ogre? Mangold back at Jackad's Heart recently. You make your way over, kind of wading, because this path now has had a lot of people kind of running and trampling on it through the day, and the hem of your robes is kind of soaked in mud and water as you almost wade your way through to where Ascarai is. Bend over and pour some of that precious water of the dusk into his mouth, and kind of maybe kind of smooth down his throat to try and get his inert form to swallow. And can you give me a D10 roll, please?
I'm sorry, Ascarai, it's a 1.
I'll take
Ascarai, take back 1 toughness. Anton, you were immediately kind of you pour the stuff down Ascarai's throat, and almost immediately kind of like recoil as like a great cough, a racking cough erupts from Ascarai's chest, and you can see kind of his eyes roll back and kind of blinking. You don't think he's sensible yet, but he's now raggedly breathing. And sort of like his arms and hands are starting to kind of spasm slightly. Kind of almost like his Ascarai, you feel, and it almost looks like your entire body, when your arm goes dead or whatever, but like your entire body, your entire kind of nervous reaction, that breathing is slowly starting to come back to you, but all you can feel all over your entire body is a painful tingling and a really painful burning sensation kind of deep in your chest, in your lungs. You're probably not going to be too much immediate use unless some more healing is kind of carried out on you. That's for sure.
On that note, do you think it would be inappropriate for me to go straight into a Medicus role? Do you think?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, if you don't, I will, because you've had your turn for Water of the Dusk, and I've had my turn.
Yeah. So why doesn't Steo kind of step in while Anton, you're maybe wiping some of the Water of the Dusk off your face that's just been kind of sprayed in your face by the cough, the great huge racking cough from Ascarai. Steo, go for it.
So it's a cunning roll. Oh, precisely.
Nice.
Ooh.
You using one of your herbal cures?
Yes, I should have maybe said that before, but I am.
So that's a D6, right?
And that is a 6. That's how you do healing.
And you know what? Maybe you kind of look through those the herbal cures you have, and there's one that's kind of labeled. These herbs are good as an antidote for various toxins and poisons of some kind, and clearly it's just pure luck. And you find one of them kind of shrug, maybe this will work. And as you're kind of like kneeling over him and kind of like helping him breathe by kind of rhythmically pressing on his chest so he can find, maybe you're operating on a memory of maybe you once saved a young woman in your regiment back in the war from drown after she had nearly drowned, and you're operating on that, thinking, oh, if he can't breathe, maybe this will help him as well. And he seems to be kind of finding that rhythm. You take that herbal cure and kind of place it under his tongue. Askarai, you can feel kind of like an unpleasant tart warmth like spreading out from something in your mouth, and you kind of reflexively swallow, and as you do so, kind of with a rush of painful kind of pins and needles, the control starts to come back to you. Your eyes open, and you can kind of feel your friends around you. You feel like you actually can't see at the moment. I'm not saying your character has gone blind, but sight, if you go through a traumatic experience like this, sight is actually one of the last things to come back, because it's your brain switching things on in the order it needs for you to survive. And sight is actually fairly low down that list. But you can regain 6 toughness.
Thank you very much.
I think it's safe to say that in all this panic, Elindra, Aaron, I'm assuming you're just kind of holding Askarai still as possible through this. Elindra, what have you been doing? Kind of feeling useless and watching on?
Yeah, mostly. I think I would probably just take a couple of steps further down the path past them and just look ahead, essentially. Just I guess similar to what Steo did, in just trying to see if there was anything coming up from that direction.
Absolutely. Well, give me a vigilant roll.
Sure. Any modifiers?
No.
That is a fail.
Okay. Similar to Steo, there's too much kind of going on. You can see a lot of people, have no one directly near you, but people running around between tents. You can hear kind of cries. Most of them seem to be people trying to get other people to run or just go to a different part of Blackmoor. So clearly word is spreading, but you can't tell at all whether there's like a force of red eye coming towards you or not. I will give you this though. You're probably the most aware person to realize that Marvello has arrived just behind you with the city guard kind of moving along a few abreast. Marvello kind of steps forward and looks around and says, "Is the changeling all right?"
I'll kind of look back to the others, and I mean, yeah, he's not blue. He's breathing.
He'll live, boss. Keep going.
I can leave a man here to look after him, and we can go on, or is he coming with us?
We'll bring him. He's coming with us.
Okay. Is he being kind of hefted back to his feet? Askarai, you're just now like hazy things are starting to, and you can hear everything perfectly clearly, but kind of like, I'd say you can't speak yet. Maybe your tongue and your jaw still feel kind of dead and difficult to move.
Okay. I'm probably kind of grasping about at the people near me just to, like, I'm almost certainly very confused about where I am and what has happened to me since last year. I remember I was running through the streets and I'm just blind and
I think I'll shoulder him and kind of and get Elindra to kind of step up on the other side. Maybe just mention to Anton, see if there's anything else you can do for him. We're out of time.
Marvello kind of nods and glances over at Askarai again, and then kind of shrugs slightly. Your decision has been made, and moves forward, probably alongside you now. He's not going to wait while you go ahead. And he turns to the men and women immediately stood behind them and says, "Looks like they have first blood. Let's see what we can deal them in return." And I think we will leave the session there for the evening. I was very close to leaving it with you just stumbling upon Askarai, looking all dead, but thought we'd push a bit further. So there we go. If you've got any comments or questions, folks, please put them in the chat and we will pop them up and talk about them. In the meantime, let's get a little bit of that promotion out of the way. If you look below, you'll find a bunch of links. YouTube, Twitch, you're watching on one, please check us out on the other. Give us a follow or a subscribe, all that juicy, tasty stuff. You'll also find links to our social media. Check us out there. Our Discord, we've got a lovely little community. And pretty soon we're going to send out, we've already had a poll go out in the patron section about the one-shots we're going to start with this year, but it'll move on to the general community after a short amount of time and a little bit of pruning. So please join if you want to be involved in that. There's a link to our Patreon. If you want early access to things like polls and you want access to things like character creation videos and all sorts of fun stuff, over the festive season, I recorded a tour of my role-playing game collection, which patrons got early access to. So that's the kind of thing you can expect as well. So if it sounds interesting, why not support us? We run 3 games weekly here on Twitch: Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays is Shadows of Estrum with the Monday crew. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, that's this. And Thursdays is Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our World of Darkness anthology series. All of those start at 8 o'clock p.m. GMT. We also run one-shots on the first weekend of every month. The first one of 2022 has already happened. It was Cyberpunk 2020, ironically, that happens this Saturday gone. They all turn up over on our YouTube as time goes on, so please go and check those out. There's a lot of different fun games from a lot of systems up on there. And last night, we think this might have already been covered by the Monday session, but just in case it wasn't, thank you for follows. Okay, we've got a few things here. We had a subscription from Hogwatch 2001. Thank you so much. We've had follows from Debez, Beyond the Berserker, Nick Pry, and D Tigertron. So thank you for those. And also a couple of days ago, Night Bites gave us a community sub gift. Thank you very much for that, Night Bites. Much appreciated. Yeah, I think that's all my business taken care of. So John, why don't you pop up some stuff for us? Malice, you showed that healer, Theo. Yeah,
That's what it's all about. Humiliating your party members.
I think we can all agree that Prios was the real hero.
the real villain here. Yeah, absolutely. Next, please, John. One from you. If he dies after all that work I did on the character art, that would be the recently revised character art of Askray. You know what? Pop it up. Let's see what we nearly lost.
I think this version is still at the work in progress stage, but
so you can customize it for like another changeling character,
or I can just like have this, but like press like X's over the eyes and like sticky out tongue.
Just
just in grayscale.
Just turn it. Would that turn them into the design of every kind of video game kind of enemy mob?
Mad lad,
yeah, which is all like masks with neon crosses on and stuff. Yeah, maybe, but you didn't, so it was all right. It was all fine. It was all good.
It's fine.
Yeah. Steve, if you want long, complex discussions about morals punctuated with extreme violence, you've come to the right place. That's the description of what we do on Symbaroum. Yes, absolutely.
We had
morals. The moral traction here has got pretty spicy these last 2.5-3 episodes.
Yeah. I feel it was one thing at the beginning of the last session where we were like, let's finish off this prisoner, whatever. Our blood's up. And then you kind of arrived at Blackmoor and were like, these are some very unfortunate people driven to desperation by circumstance. Maybe we shouldn't have come here with the idea of killing them all. Yeah. Or maybe you consider that,
And
But also,
yes, we have to kill the cults. Like
PC gone mad, isn't it?
Prodigious cults.
Yeah. Almost feels timely, what with the discussion in the British media over whether or not we just let people die for no reason. Not to get heavy, but yeah.
This
Stefan
was
Saviano, I think.
in response to some of the combat descriptions.
Oh, well, thank you, Stefan. I try my best to make everyone feel awful.
I think that was when Steer was absolutely carving up a bunch of people in one round.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also had another one from around the same time that I didn't star. I think it was from Sauerkraut Kid saying, "This is what we call the Red Delicious." I don't know if that's a reference to something,
What?
but I love it anyway.
It's horrible. And of course, there was another one which I didn't have. Yeah, that exact one.
Yeah. Yeah, from Mike here. Steer, what am I for shortly before going on a big murdering spree? Yeah.
I mean, it's a big murdering spree against unarmed, unarmed, and largely like not actual combatants. I don't know if I can count this as a victory.
Yeah.
That's why it's a murdering spree,
I'm
not
just-
a fight.
I'm going to be honest, friends, viewers, and others. I'm looking over the adept level at Medicus. I might respec his battle healer.
Love how it does this because I'm just useless. Literally was the most lethal one in that fight.
Against children and invalids.
Yeah, but you were still more lethal than the others.
I could just
Maybe your job is clearing the mobs.
Oh, God.
Still
Okay.
valuable.
I just pictured really clearly, in character, Steo's face going from kind of dejected to like surprised to gleeful to sort of horrified.
Yeah. And
This is
basically
going
that,
well, isn't it? Oh no!
I feel like I'm
it's going
basically
well.
I'm that single-use mage you have for the beginning of the raid who goes around and mops up the kobolds before the Omni Dragon appears.
Sure. People out there will have to get used to this. If Chris achieves something great, he will go, yeah, but that wasn't that great. Even if it's literally mathematically proven to be better.
In Chris's defense on this one, that was a bunch of almost completely unarmed goblins.
Sure, but it was still better than the
Still
capacity
better
of him
than
to
nothing.
do damage to multiple people at once is
You
huge.
murdered up those
It's
guys.
mainly the fault that every time I'm in a combat, I kind of randomly, basically, people just haven't been charging at Steo over the past few weeks. But that's just RNG. John, join our Patreon so we can buy Matt a functional mouse. Yeah, apparently, because it's a Razer mouse.
A
Bullshit.
razor, yes, some money to purchase a
Yeah.
standard mouse.
There goes our Razer esports sponsorship, Matt.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks.
fuck 'em.
Good job.
Well, maybe they need to sponsor us and send us free stuff, and then maybe we won't complain about their
Maybe-
mice on stream.
Yeah, by
Maybe-
random chance, one of them will function.
We should get an RGB mouse, but where RGB stands for really gruesome battles.
I like that. Have we got anything else? Sauerkraut Kid, yeah. Red Delicious was in response to the splitting of an Adam's apple.
Oh no! Why would you say that with your text? Ooh.
Ugh. Gross.
It's,
Love it. Steve, moral of the story, trying to resolve things peacefully gets you poisoned. Yep.
Simulator
Amazing.
hobo.
No more
As you were
peaceful
going there, I was like,
solutions.
I know what's going to happen, but I don't want to try and dissuade them. So, it's good. This is actually, this is my favorite comment from the entire thing, which was from Sam earlier on in the course of the thing. I'll put it up. It's okay. And when everyone was discussing what to do about the red eye and what kind of action to take. And Sam said, look, let's just wait for the results of an inquiry into what happened with the red eye.
Oh my god!
Which, again, for anyone paying attention to British current news, if you want an explanation, our Prime Minister went to a work party when he shouldn't have done, when it was against the law to do so during a lockdown. And when asked whether he went to the work party, he said, well, let's wait for the results of the inquiry to find out if I went.
Though, to be fair, inquiry-based humor could take place at pretty much any point in the last few years of British politics.
It's true. But today he pulled off he is an absolute clown, and he pulled off one of his best clownisms today in just prick. So before we turn this into a political stream, although let's do that, let's just make it tabletop role playing and politics.
I think
that'll
we've
be a
already
good
gone there,
combination on
Matt.
Twitch. Yeah. So Thanks everyone for watching Symbaroum. We hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you. We have all those other streams going on, but we will see you next week for more Symbaroum. So,
You promised us the hot gossip on the one shots. You're not getting away with not telling us.
oh, well remembered.
Callback.
So, my current intention, based on the results of the poll that's gone out to patrons today, is that I will probably be running the February one shot. Don't know a date for that yet, and it will probably be drum roll. Chris, you set this up. Give me a drum roll. Tales from the Loop.
Woo!
Which, if anyone isn't aware of it, it's a TV show on Amazon now, bizarrely, but it's also a classic free league system from the last few years, inspired by Simon Stalenhag's art, and it's a kind of like retro futurist sci-fi thing set in the 80s, where you play kids investigating spooky and sci-fi events in rural Scandinavia. And if anyone's going, that's a bit Stranger Things, yes, it is, but also Stranger Things came after it, so shut up. Yeah, so there we go. That's probably what we're playing in February. So hopefully everyone's up for that. And on that note, goodbye. Yeah, take care, stay safe, everyone. We'll catch you next week for more Symbaroum. Goodbye.